All right. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Hey guys.
All right. Hey, everyone from the community. Thanks for jumping on today with us. We've had a pretty exciting week already. Major announcement from the team this week, and we thought it would be appropriate to do a follow-on call to kind of share some context around the Mainnet announcement, take some questions from the community, and share a little bit of a retrospective on the last year plus development of Axelar. So my name is Eli Laipson. I just recently joined the Axelar team as a marketing lead. And I'm joined here with Kate, our community lead, and Sergey, co-founder and CEO. So,
hey everyone.
Agenda for today, we're looking at probably about 35 to 40 minutes of content for you. We've got this call being recorded, and we will post it to the YouTube channel, the Axelar YouTube channel, if you can't stay the whole time, so don't worry. We're going to cover a few different topics. So like I mentioned, we'll do a little recap on the last year of team formation, technology creation, and mainnet rollout that we're now hitting. We'll talk specifically about the actual announcement, what is happening, what are the activities that are ongoing, and what does the community need to be aware of coming up over the next month. We'll take some Q&A from the community. We actually put out a tweet last night, so thank you to the folks who submitted some questions for us to answer. And then we'll give you some final calls to action so you guys can come out of this call and do some stuff. So before we get into that, Sergey or Kate, any quick comments to the community just with this big milestone we announced yesterday?
Super excited. I think that's the bottom line. I think it's been a fun year, and I think the next one is going to be even more fun. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, really excited to be rolling out Mainnet, and from my side, from the community side, we've had such engagement in the Discord, in the Telegram, on Twitter. People are so excited about the project. It's really been great to kind of be on this journey with a really strong community behind us. So we're really thankful for everyone who's been in the chats for since we launched, who's just joined, who's been around in the chats for a couple months. Really glad to have you on board, and yeah, really big things coming. So really appreciate the community being with us on this journey.
Awesome. All right. So let's get into it, guys. Maybe we can start with a little bit of a recap, Sergey, from you, a little behind the scenes storytelling for everybody here in the community. And you may have told this story a couple times at this point, but, how did you actually get started on Axelar, and what were some of the first steps to really forming the company, forming the team, building the tech?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think so. First of all, I think we started about a year and a half ago. And when we were starting out, kind of Yorgos, my co-founder, and I, we just came off from Algorand project. So for those of you that are not familiar, Algorand is a proof of stake blockchain that we have built to really solve the sort of scalability issues that we're seeing with other proof of work networks, right? But I think as we were rolling it out and building it, I think we just realized the need for many different chains would only accelerate as we continue developing the ecosystem. There are multiple reasons for us. Sometimes you need to scale your application, but also different chains actually offer different trade-offs for the application builders, right? Some of them are have lower latency. Some of them can process more throughput. Some of them have different software stacks that are optimized for different developers, and so on and so forth. So it's clear to us that we're going to be entering more and more of a multi-chain future. I think as we were starting out, that wasn't clear to everyone. I think at that time, definitely some folks were like, well, everything is going to be on Ethereum, right? Ethereum is going to transition to proof of stake, and it's going to be golden, and it's going to solve all the issues. But inevitably, you saw many other amazing projects being built in parallel, right? Avalanche, Solana, I think Near, right? Polkadot, and I think the list goes on and goes on. Me as a technologist, I mean, I was excited to see those ecosystems. I think they all had very unique perspectives and unique takes on what the blockchain ecosystem should look like. And then the next question is, well, how we're going to connect all of these ecosystems together, right? How we're going to make a robust connectivity across these very different stacks. And so, that's really how we started to think about the problem of interoperability and how we started to think about Axelar. And I think as we've been building it, I think the last year, the game has changed in some sense. I think now everybody realizes that it is going to be a multi-chain future. We do need this robust connectivity. And so, it's been an amazing kind of journey, I think, that some of our predictions kind of paid off in some sense.
Right. I mean, it started as a bet, but it feels more like a definite at this point.
For sure.
So, starting a company in COVID, building a team, completely remote, what was that like? Any kind of, anecdotes or stories from the early days of building the team remote?
Yeah, no, I think that was very interesting. So a couple of things. One, I think as we were starting, there was definitely a lot of kind of a nervousness in the community that the markets and everything will just shut down, right? And like what's going to happen in crypto in that case, what's going to happen with the investment markets, how people going to work, and kind of so on and so forth. So I think even as we were starting and taking this rollout, we had to, convince ourselves that, businesses and everything else will still be functional, right? Like money is still gonna, continue being injected into the space. People are gonna continue building and working, and so that was one thing. Two, I think we were just decentralized and remote from day one, effectively, right? And I think we said to ourselves that we're just gonna hire and work with the best people no matter where they are, right? So we ended up building a team that's very very global. We have people, in Hong Kong, in Portugal, right, in Australia, in Greece, and Canada, and US, and all over the world. And I think kind of lowering the specific criteria for being in a specific geographic region really allowed us to hire the best people, right, on this project. And I think, as you can see, I think we have assembled just a fantastic team. Okay, like world-class people, experts in their fields, everything from technical side, distributed consensus, cryptography, algorithms, systems, to community, BD, marketing. And I think it's really a powerhouse that we ended up building together.
So, Kate, let's bounce over to you real quick. You from a different perspective on the community side, what has really jumped out to you over the last year of building this out, and kind of where did it come from?
Yeah, so I mean, from my side, I would just, firstly echo what Sergey said. When we launched a lot of our, the Discord, the Telegram, that launched in December of last year. And, there definitely were like the early kind of diehard Axelar evangelists. They were really, they were kind of from day one believed in what we were building. But you also had, a lot of kind of, not speculation, but you had people saying, well, we already have XYZ project. What's the need for Axelar? There was a little bit of uncertainty about, this kind of multi-chain future that we're now actively building. And so from the community side, it's been really cool to see people kind of gradually, and then pretty quickly get on board with what we're building, and not only say, this is a cool project, but do a full 180 and say, yes, this is exactly what we need. I'm really excited to see, how this is going to affect the the blockchain ecosystem as a whole. Apart from that, in terms of kind of more specifics, this time last year is when we published the white paper. Obviously, with launch, not everything in the white paper is going to be live right away, but just the fact that in 1 year we've gone from, publishing our white paper to now rolling out Mainnet, it's really impressive, that we've been able to move this fast, to iterate through things this quickly, and also to build, the community that we have in that time. We have now 17 community-run Telegram channels, which is really awesome, with 6 official, international Discord channels. We have 13 testnet moderators, as part of the team, 18 community moderators. And so community's been really a driving force behind, what we've been doing, right? There's been a huge amount of demand for international channels. There's a lot of, we have a very strong community in Russia, in Thailand, in France, in Turkey. And it's really exciting to see new communities emerge, to see translations coming in from all of our documents, to see demand for new channels to be opened, and to kind of expand to really capture all of these, international communities who are excited about Axelar. And with the community program, that wasn't just us kind of behind the scenes thinking about what we should do. That really came from a place of demand from within the community, right? People were creating really, really great translations, really great, resources, graphics, videos, and, taking the time out of their day to moderate these community chats. And so, launching the community program has been excited because it came from, hey, there's some really great resources. There's a lot of great work that the community is putting together. Let's create a program around that to really kind of offer the potential for incentive and kind of organize all the excitement behind it. So, yeah, from my side, from the community, it's been really, really great to see the evolution. And, as we launch and roll out Mainnet, I think we're in a really, really strong spot, community-wise, to do this.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can even look at the chats here, right? The number of different languages that are submitting comments and questions here kind of speak to the diversity of the community. And, with our announcement yesterday, we've just been looking at the analytics of, where are our visitors coming from to the site? It's France, it's Turkey, it's Thailand, it's Russia. Lots of different countries are represented. So it's very cool. So Sergey, going back to you real quick, what would you say some of the biggest learnings from this experience have been from an engineering perspective? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing, whenever you're trying to solve interoperability, you're really working with very different sort of ecosystems, right? While trying to connect them together, and they all have, their own stacks, and they all work somewhat differently. So I think just thinking about how do you make things as generic as possible so that people can, use the technology that we build and use the building blocks to do other things. I think that's been really kind of an experience and a process. Right? So I think that's one thing. And, today we are at a position where, certain environments are really easy to onboard through Axelar network, right? You can, run like 10 commands and onboard like on a VM chain, and kind of have it interconnected with other ecosystems, but also like the building blocks and exposing those building blocks to allow other people to build on top of it, I think has been really, an interesting experience. So that's one. I think two, as we're working with, I'm a sort of cryptographer by training, right? So I did a lot of work in standardization and protocol design over the years and things like that. And I think I just keep on reiterating to myself and learning that a lot of the things that has been done, in academia, it's not necessarily yet ready, or it's still a very long process in order to use those types of algorithms or protocols in the systems, right? I think, even examples like BLS signatures, I think many of you are familiar with it, right? It's a kind of an algorithm that allows you to create or aggregate a lot of signatures to save bandwidth on the networks, right? As a protocol, we've known it for sort of 20 years from its invention. I think it's, we did a lot of work on standardizing it a couple of years ago with some of the co-authors. But still, the implementations is still, I think, being rolled out. It's still not used as widely in production systems as we would want. And there are reasons for this. And there are reasons is that, certain things are not specified correctly, certain assumptions are not made, certain prerequisites are not satisfied. And we worked with, some threshold cryptography protocols, multi-party cryptography protocols as we're building the system. And I think we'll learn more of those things, right? We learned more requirements, I would say, that are needed to actually scale a system around those basic primitives. And I think one interesting thing that I think not a lot of people still realize is that so multi-party cryptography is just an incredibly powerful kind of object or primitive that's going to, I think, be used more and more in the systems and blockchains as we roll forward, including like zero knowledge proofs and so on and so forth. But a lot of those building blocks actually assume things like reliable broadcast or consensus underneath it. Okay, so what that means is that effectively the blockchain and the consensus, like BFT consensus, Tendermint and other mechanisms, really allowed us to build more of these multi-party cryptographic protocols in live and in production systems, which just was not possible like 5 years ago when the consensus mechanisms were not really rolled out, right? So I think there's just an interesting point that I think the consensus and just the blockchain, fast, efficient blockchains that were rolled out over the last 3-4 years, I think just opened up the whole other avenue of potential.
Gotcha. So from theory and going from theory and putting it into practice, has been...
It's fun. That's what we call it.
Yeah. So let's start to transition over into our announcement here. Maybe we could talk a little bit about just the actual process of getting to where we got to, or where we announced we've gotten to yesterday over the last year, right? What are the elements that have actually gone into rolling out the network? And then kind of a follow-on question, Sergey, is, we made that announcement yesterday. What are the activities that we're continuing over the next month that are really going to, put us in a great spot and have the mainnet fully rolled out publicly?
Yeah, so I think both great questions. I think one, what was the process, I think, getting here? And I think few people really realize of what goes behind the scenes to roll out, a decentralized network, right? It's a combination of protocol, system design, a lot of infrastructure work with our validators and our community, work on building various tools around the network, like dashboards, monitoring tools, alerting tools, wallet integrations, token economics, right, partnerships, and I think this goes on and goes on. And plus, because we're a cross-chain sort of network, that comes with its own risk of, with its own set of collaborations, right, that have both, challenges and opportunities at the same time. And I think from I guess, orchestration perspective, I think has been a very very interesting experience, just assembling everything together to preparing for this network rollout. So I think that's one piece of it. And I think, what's going to happen over the next months, let's say that, right, kind of going from it. So we have, began rolling out the main network. So what that means is that we'll be onboarding validators to this network. We are going to be, monitoring its performance. We're going to be monitoring its stability and basic, liveness safety properties that we set out to achieve. We're going to be onboarding a lot of the ecosystem partners that have been working on the test network behind the scenes with their tools, with their dashboards and their wallets to integrate with the, with the main network going forward. And we're going to be gradually, enabling functionalities, right, that's been working behind the scenes. So, some functionalities will be available day one. Some of them are going to be flipped over the coming months as we roll out the network and continue doing it. And I think from there, really, our goal is to empower any application that's been built in the ecosystem or will be built in the ecosystem to go multi-chain in the coming year, right? And I think that's where we're going to focus more and more going into the next year, as we continue rolling out, the basic infrastructure, now we have to, now we can do so much with it. So let's do all of those things that we've been talking about over the last year. So to me, that's the most exciting aspect of it.
So really, public mainnet rollout completion in February, it's never really complete. It's a journey that keeps on going. I know that's a theme that we kind of hit on a lot, within the team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's with any technology, that's the case. Okay. You either, upgrade, or you do something interesting with it, or you perish, right? In some sense. And I think we're in the blockchain space where everything is open and everything is open source. And, the cycle of innovation is so much faster, right? People build on top of each other's tools. People compose with each other's protocols. People, do vampire attacks to steal each other's, assets, user bases, and things like that. So I think, I think with any technology, you have to have a base, you have to have protocols, you have to have governance, you have to have upgrade path, all those things. So to me, it's never over. I think to me, every next step is only the beginning of something new.
Right. So, one of your comments there just now was, really empowering builders, connecting to the network. Over the next month, we're preparing to kind of make some new capabilities available to builders. Could you kind of speak to what the community should expect, right? Like, how will dApp developers or protocol builders actually interact with the network?
Yeah, so I think a couple basic, use cases. Let me start with a very simple one, right? Like, suppose you want to allow people to transfer, assets from one ecosystem to another, right? So, instead of rolling out your own infrastructure or kind of centralized, bridging protocols or whatever that is, you can now build on top of Axelar open network, right? And we've had community members that have done it. You come to the network, you can execute a certain commands to take an asset and move it from an ecosystem A to an ecosystem B, right? Underneath it, there is an Axelar protocol that helps you facilitate this. You can relay your own messages, or you can use some of the other services that have been provided by us to do the relaying aspect of it. But the network is open, right? So you even if the front end of the dApp builder gets is no longer maintained for whatever reason, people can still do the transfers. Everything is based on an open protocol, so there is no risk there. And then second thing is, we're going to be opening up our SDK layer on top of the network. That's going to make it even simpler to build this cross-chain enabled applications, right? So what does it allow you to do? Well, use case one, suppose you have a DEX that you build in on chain A, but you want to allow users from other ecosystems to interact with this DEX, right? So to lock your liquidity, to swap one asset for another. If your applications are integrated with the Axelar stack, then users will be able to interact with your DEX sort of directly, right, from their wallets without having to go through bridging protocols and so on and so forth. So, and then it's arbitrary, arbitrary message passing and arbitrary relaying of information that you can do as a developer, right? I think in the coming months. And the idea is that, suppose you want to call a contract on a specific destination chain, you can kind of package a message, you can send it to an Axelar gateway, and then the Axelar network will sort of finalize it, route it to the right destination network, and execute it there. And I think that's really opens up a whole set of use cases from cross-chain voting, right, to cross-chain DAOs, transfers of NFTs, and so on and so forth. And so you're not just limited by the protocols that were built by us initially, or by some of our partners, but you can build your own sort of application-specific protocol on top of the network. And I think that's super exciting.
That is. I'm sure people watching this, or who will watch this, will want to know more. Kate, I know you've had a form that kind of speaks to this ecosystem builder, call out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of questions about the testnet, and all the channels, what's happening with testnet, during the mainnet rollout. So I'm just going to kind of give a quick overview on what the state of the testnet is, kind of what's happening there. So, you know, as we launch mainnet, right, the network is going to go through upgrades. So currently, the team is working closely with our validator community on these upgrades, iterating through testnet. But the testnet is up, right? So the testnet is running. And exercises 4 and 5, those are currently, if you look through our docs, and I'll drop all these links in the chat, and also they're in all of our main channels as well. But if you look through Axelar documentation, exercises 4 and 5 are up. So the testnet, it's still running. These exercises are up. The only thing that we've paused right now is the incentive aspect of them, right? So anyone can read through the docs. Our GitHub is open source. So you can read through everything, figure out kind of how things work under the hood, go through the exercises, read through how to spin up a node. It's just that the incentives, like I said, associated with those are paused for the moment as we focus on, rolling out mainnet. Also, because we're focusing on, mainnet launch, the support for, troubleshooting and questions of people working through kind of the testnet docs, that's going to be pretty limited, through February, since the team is kind of really focused on, iterating through testnet with the validators and kind of getting everything in that end sorted. But yeah, so in the meantime, I'm going to drop the forum there, Eli, that you were referring to in the stream here. So in the meantime, there's still opportunities to build, right? If you've been following Axelar for a while, or you're just kind of learning about us now, I've just dropped the form here in the chat, so feel free to read through that. We've got some opportunities that we're looking for, right? Multi-chain wallets, explorers, cross-chain DeFi apps. There's a bunch of different things that we've added kind of as suggestions. That if this is something that you're excited about building out, this is something that you'd be interested in building out, have a read through the form there, see what speaks to your interest. If there's nothing kind of exactly there that you imagine yourself building, fill out an application, let us know what you're thinking of building. And, we'll work on getting support for you there in terms of like helping troubleshoot through questions. So yeah, just kind of to reiterate, the testnet is still open, right? The testnet is not down. The exercises 4 and 5, those are still open. It's just the incentive aspect that's been paused as we roll mainnet out. But in the interim, if you are, excited to start building, as I said, have a look through that form that I just dropped in the chat, and submit a proposal for what you want to build, and we'll help you get any application. Well, we'll help you build out, what you envision for your DApp on Axelar. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to drop the documentation links in the chat as well, and we'll have them in the Telegram and the Discord for anyone who wants to learn more and kind of see how it works on the back end.
Awesome. And just to everyone, we are actively monitoring that, and we're setting ourselves a 2-week deadline to respond to new applicants. Right, we really want to give you feedback and give you an understanding of whether we want to move forward or not. So you're not submitting something into a black box, a black hole. We will reply. So Kate, another question for you, community focused question, is the Quantum Community Program. I've really enjoyed kind of seeing all the submissions that have come in over the weeks. There's been some really funny ones, some obviously some really high effort ones. Some very talented people are contributing content here. What should people know about the current phase and what's coming up?
Yeah, it's been great to see kind of the scope of what people have been submitting. The flash challenges, have been great. The meme challenge, the robot. So the robot flash challenge, that's ending this Friday. So that's a Twitter challenge. So show us your robot. Show us your best Axelar robot. Drop it in the thread there on Twitter announcing the flash challenge, or post it in the Discord channel in the Quantum Community Program QA. but kind of general milestones that are quickly approaching. So right now we're in the open call for submissions. So phase 1. That's been running since last month, and that is coming to a close this coming Monday, so the 17th of January at midnight EST, so Eastern time. So yeah, that means that phase 1, so the open call for submissions, will be ending. So if you're thinking of submitting, if you have, all your links, you just haven't submitted them to the form yet, definitely get that in, because we do evaluate submissions as they come in, so that when we get to the 17th, the few ones that, or however many come in that night, we'll be able to get through them. And then the 18th is when phase 2 begins. And so phase 2 is everyone who submitted, resources, material, guides, videos, what have you for phase 1. We're going to go through them and pick the top 300 submissions to then go on to phase 2, which is a closed phase where we work on, building out people's submissions from phase 1, or, giving them tasks, right? If you've submitted a great graphic, we may have, some suggestions or some things that we're looking to build out that we can work with, the participants to make a reality. So this Monday, like I said, the 17th, that is the deadline for the open call for submission. So definitely get your submissions in. Try and get them in before then, just so we can, move through them as quickly as we can. Yeah, and is in terms of the non-English content, we've got some questions about how we're evaluating that. We do have a whole team of moderators reviewing the international submissions, and these are also folks that have not themselves contributed to the program, so there's no bias there. So we're working through English submissions. We've got a lot of Thai submissions, French submissions, Russian submissions, and we have moderators that have been working through all of those. Yeah, the other thing is that we've gotten some questions about, well, with Mainnet rollout, will the quantum program kind of stick to the announced dates? And it will, right? Like, this is a program that's running in tandem with Mainnet rollout. The two of them, don't really affect each other in terms of changing deadlines. So the deadlines for those remain the same. The phases are going to be the same. Yeah, so that's kind of the update. Get your submissions in by Monday. If you're looking to submit a robot, get that in by Friday. And yeah, really excited to kind of see what everyone's been building and contributing. It's been really great to see like the community's creativity. I'm like blown away every day by what people submit. So it's been really exciting on our end.
I love some of the robots that have been submitted.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but we should drop some of the links here.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones. I'll put some of the links in the chat.
Definitely. So I'm thinking maybe now we should get to some of our community questions that we asked for yesterday evening, Eastern time. So Kate, maybe you and I could kind of go back and forth with some questions here for Sergey. So I've seen a bunch of questions around the expected number of validators in the network and the purpose of the token, in the future. Sergey, can you speak to either of those topics?
Sure, yeah. I mean, in terms of expected number of validators, so Axelar is built around the Cosmos SDK, right? So, the number of validators is a parameter that you can kind of tune in and upgrade on the network. I think for the initial rollout, we'll start with kind of 50 validators as a parameter on the network, and then we're going to be gradually kind of upgrading it and increasing it. I mean, that being said, it's 50 validators that would actually participate in the consensus. You can still register as a validator, and assuming you have enough stake delegated to you, then you'll start participating in the block production of the chain itself, right? So. Yeah, it is a parameter, and I think over the coming months, as we watch the network and its behavior, we're going to be upgrading it and hopefully increasing it to more than that. And yeah, I think the second question with respect to the token and things like that. So Axelar is a proof of stake network, right? So what that means is that you have a governance token that's used by the community to elect validators that participate in the consensus, to pay transaction fees, to participate in the governance, right? To secure the network as well, right? So I think those are the core functions of most proof of stake networks, and we will similarly have the governance token to to serve those functions to protect the network and kind of scale its decentralization aspects.
Awesome. We've gotten a lot of questions, how is Axelar different or similar to, XYZ project? I guess, Sergey, on a higher level, what would you say sets Axelar apart from other, cross-chain initiatives, platforms? Like what makes it that Axelar is really kind of the one to handle universal cross-chain interoperability, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So first of all, I think most of the interoperability that we have seen today has been through centralized bridges in one shape or form, right, in the ecosystem. And I think we saw this as a patch to really connect this ecosystem in an easier way, because there's no other solutions that could scale across these ecosystems very effectively. So we saw a lot of centralized solutions, and kind of Axelar on its own is a decentralized network, right? So that's, I think, a big difference. That means the participation in the network is open, right? Validation in the network, is open, assuming you have enough folks that delegated stake to you. Building on top of the network is open, right? And that means your application that's leveraging Axelar will remain being kind of open for anybody to build around. I think that's one aspect of it. Two, I think I just want to emphasize there's a big difference between protocols and networks, right? So a Axelar on its own, it's a decentralized service network. You can think of it for the community, right? So it runs various protocols that support interoperability across all of these ecosystems, including our own protocols, IBC, and you could build other protocols on top of it, and so on and so forth. And so underneath it, it's this universal decentralized translation layer, right, that can help you go from a chain A to a chain B. It can help you route assets, deliver them, finalize them, secure them, and so on and so forth. And so it's not kind of a single protocol, right? And it's not just a protocol. It's really a utility network that has been built to service the community in order to scale it and take it to the next level, which doesn't really exist today. I think you have some networks, I think, like including Polkadot, right, Hub, or Cosmos Hub, that are focused on providing some services for those ecosystems. And so you can think of Axelar as providing this cross-ecosystem service to connect different environments, and we've kind of built the stack in order to really scale those functions.
There's a question I see in the chat that I'm just going to kind of quickly hop in and answer, asking about how many people are testing the blockchain currently, if you're, and kind of question about scalability. So we have about 1,000 testers on the network, and for our end, we really wanted to be able to have full support for anyone who has questions, who is having issues. And so in terms of kind of onboarding users on our end, we really had to scale up kind of the moderator team, right? So it wasn't so much limits of the network; it was really us wanting to be able to provide full troubleshooting support, having almost 24-hour support for questions in the chats. So on our end, and we're still working to, we're always working to scale up the moderator team, in Discord, on Telegram. So that was really our end, wanting to make sure that anyone who had a question got their question answered. But at the moment, we've got about 1,000 people that have either worked through or that are on Testnet currently in that closed Discord group. Just to clarify that point for the question there in the chat.
We've also got some questions just around current networks supported and future networks. Maybe we could just do a quick recap of what networks we're already connecting with, and maybe just kind of a high-level explainer of how future networks will connect via Axelar.
Yeah, so I think for the kind of initial rollout, we'll support Cosmos networks, and we'll support various EVM chains, right? So including Avalanche, Terra, Moonbeam, right? Ethereum, Polygon, and a couple others. So for us to really provide this connectivity across Cosmos and other chains and EVM chains is pretty straightforward. For Cosmos chains, you can connect it to Axelar through an IBC. For other EVM chains, assuming the validators support and run and vote on events from it, it's a handful of commands that we have to run through the network and onboard it. So we're going to be really scaling and onboarding more chains. We'll have to, I think, tweak some of the parameters on the network as we're doing this and we're doing the rollout. And then we're building, other modules that are being kind of tested right now or audited in various phases. Integration with proof of work chains like Bitcoin, integration with kind of a Rust-based or WASM-based chains. So we write in a module for that. I think one thing, as I mentioned, kind of the network has been really built as a platform in the sense that there are certain building blocks that you need in order to provide connectivity across these different ecosystems. And we try to expose this connectivity so other people can come in and build around it, right? So initially, it's maybe you have to put like a modular through an upgrade and a governance proposal. But down the line, you'll be able to even build like a simpler smart contracts on the network to really enable this connectivity across the ecosystems and interoperability through them. So we're going to be exposing more of these functionalities over the coming months and allowing anybody to scale, not just us, anybody to continue providing different types of services, right? So if you want to translate from a platform that speaks language A to a platform that speaks a language B, you can kind of write a modular or a smart contract on Axelar and do that. And we're going to open up those functionalities over the coming months.
One quick follow-on question here, just from the chat. Frankie Channel is asking, do you think about layer 2 with Axelar? So are there any kind of special nuances on that front?
I mean, some of them do have nuances, but for the most part, we're pretty agnostic to what layer you call your chain, as long as there is a way to finalize transactions on it. We have a specific, you can think of it as a module that allows us to finalize any chain, okay? Whether or not it's proof of work chain or proof of stake chain, as long as we know what the finalization rules are, effectively we're applying this gadget and our validators vote on events on that chain and we can finalize transactions from it. So layer 2, layer 1 from that perspective is not different, as long as there is a way to expose these finalization kind of functions, which everybody has because everybody needs that feature.
Just a quick follow up on my end, also for the testnet. A lot of people, there's some more comments in the chat. Like we said, the testnet, it's running. The exercises are out there. It's just the incentive aspects that have been paused for right now.
Oh, I think we may have lost you, Kate. Is she frozen for you as well, Sergey?
Yeah, I think she's
okay.
Me.
Oh, it seems like it's going on and off, Kate. I don't know if you can hear us. Okay. Well, I think we may have lost Kate for the moment here. Sergey, any other closing thoughts? I think we're kind of coming up towards the end of our time here. We're about just at 45 minutes. Any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think super excited, I think, for the next year. I think overall, I think as we're rolling out the network, I do, invite everybody to submit, an application through the ecosystem forum that we linked here. We promise to go through them as effectively as we can over the coming weeks, and try to onboard more folks to start building around the network. And that's about it. I think just want to say to everybody who's been supporting us through the last year, huge thank you. Like I said, it's an achievement to build things like this with our community, with everybody who contributed. So just huge thanks to everybody.
Awesome. Okay. A couple calls to action for everyone watching. Tomorrow, actually, we haven't announced this yet, but tomorrow we're going to be co-hosting a Twitter Spaces AMA with some folks over at Terraform Labs. So that'll be happening right around 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Again, that'll be recorded, so if you miss it, don't sweat it. But we're pretty excited for that as one of our closest partners that we've been building with. And then again, just reiterating, and we'll put this in the description in the YouTube channel that this call turns into, but really want to encourage people, if you've got an idea, a DApp or an Explorer or a wallet or whatever, if you've got an idea for building something with Axelar, please do submit it. We will be looking at them, reviewing them, and getting back to you to let you know what we think. So that's it for me. Kate, any final words?
I seem to be unfrozen, so just going to use this opportunity to say, from my side, from the community side, thanks for everyone, as Eli said, who's been with us on this journey. Whether you're new to Axelar, whether you've been here for a while, we really appreciate your support. We're blown away by the submissions, be it from the community program, the technical submissions from, the ecosystem developer forum. We're just really impressed with what's coming in, with the excitement that the community has. And really looking forward to Mainnet rollout and having everyone on this journey with us.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you both. We've got a lot of exciting announcements coming up, as you guys can probably tell. So please do stay tuned. Twitter, Discord, our email newsletter, our website, all of our channels. That's where we're going to be putting out all of the latest news. And just given the amount of news that's coming out and kind of the evolving state of the network, we're going to be getting into a cadence of roughly one community call per month, unless there's some special news that we absolutely need to kind of hop on and share with the community. So you can expect one of these roughly every month, roughly 35, 45 minutes to give you kind of a sense of what we've got going on and what's coming next. So thank you, everyone, for joining today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
You guys.